Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
Absolutely impossible scene.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We'll go bust. We got our elbows out.
Ronar takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Hello, good evening and a warm welcome to you. Welcome back to PSGL. It feels like forever that I've been saying it like this. We're here in the commentary box tonight in the PCF4 division with myself, Frostbreath, aka Rob, and Hyper. It feels like it's been like 6 years or so since we've been here together. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. A lot of back and forth doing with other casters you've been having. You've been having a field day with other people, but it's great. You know, I've got the lovely fireworks on this side, and then the track just somewhat so behind me as we look down over the Saudi Arabian region. As this should be an interesting race, as unfortunately our championship leader not racing today.
Yep, and that is an interesting one. Scott Holmes, that is his, his third non-racing start in the season. Despite that, though, he's been leading the pack by 15 points at this moment since the round 8 finished last time before the holiday season. He's been winning 3 races in a row, finished second in Monaco, and a P5 finish in the USA in his 5 races he partook in. So far, it's been a great run from him, but this is an opportunity for Alexi Cavero and Alex Santana, who are second and third respectively on 52 and 48 points, to try and make a little bit of a comeback. However, neither of them has finished on the podium since Austria, so perhaps there's somebody else who can try and take a win here.
Yeah, it definitely is an open book to who can take it. Of course, Alexi Cavero would love to finally get the win. He's found himself second place in Belgium, US, and in Austria. So close, but yet so far away. He just wants that final push to get a win. So that would be lovely for Alexi Cavero. But at the same time, Alex Santana would love to find himself his third victory, and that would be a major jump to put himself into second place in this championship. So that as well, actually no, we'd put him first in this championship if he did get that win. So it is so critical that both of them are able to capitalize on the fact that Scott Holmes aren't here. But again, we can't rule out the vast number of names of drivers who also are racing here, and we've seen dotted wins across the board.
Exactly, for 17 points up to grabs here for a single session. 1 point for pole position and then 16 for the win. So that is what Alex Santana can potentially gain from third. He's currently 19 points behind, so if he wins, we'll put it 2 points from Scott Holmes. If Alexi wins, though, that'll be great for him, and taking the pole position as well, he'll be 2 points ahead of Scott Holmes. But all remains to be seen. We're heading to the track right now. We are in Saudi Arabia here in the 9th round of the season, which of course does explain the fancy fireworks of your webcam background. It's a brilliant track. I'm currently accidentally showing the wrong screen. I can see that there. This is the screen I wanted to show right there. It was actually the wrong track shown on there as well, so apologies on that one. But here we are, first out on track. It is one of the Williams cars, JST, followed by a Haas and the Mercedes. Drivers are getting out bright and early. Several drivers using the special liveries you're able to earn in this game this time round. So let's see what they can do. Pole time, what can we predict from there?
Ooh, honestly, it's cropped out of my head what we saw in WOR and their lap time. So they're taking account fastest lap time in real world's 1:30. We know that these guys can knock about 4 seconds off that lap time. So maybe a 26, 25 is what I'm expecting around here. Could be a little higher, could be a little lower, but I probably should have checked that before you asked me that question.
Sorry, I put you on the block there.
You put me in a place I couldn't handle.
I'm so sorry. Personally, I think a 25 wouldn't be too far off from the truth, actually. I've seen drivers capable of doing 1 minute 25s here before. But some of them were in potentially higher tiers than PCF4 at the moment. So at 26, low, a high 25, low 26 perhaps. We'll have to see what happens here tonight. Almost everybody is out except for Nando Moreira, still happily sitting in the pit lane waiting to get his lap going. But first and foremost, it's going to be Alessandro Finn. He's going to approach the first corner rapidly. The first out of 27, the most corners you'll see on the entire F1 calendar. A lot of them are quite tricky indeed, especially here in Sector 1 as he goes through turns 1 and 2. And then this corner right here is actually called turn 3, just a tiny left-hander. Then, of course, the tricky, snaky section right here, down to gear 5. Was that too wide? Apparently not, according to the game. That's a bit surprising there, to be honest. I felt like all of his wheels were off the track right there. But so far, so good then for Alessandro Finn, as he remains within the track limits, at least according to the game. So the first sector then is a 38.102. Not too bad. Then, of course, turn 13 is somewhat of a hairpin corner right there. And then another tricky bit coming up with turns 16 and 17. Keeping it within the track here as well. Let's see if he can do it. Nice and easy does it. Not all the way to the edges just yet. Not pushing as much as he can at the moment. Of course, it's just a banker lap. So all he needs to do is to make sure he gets it across the line with 4 wheels within the white lines, or at least 2 of them. Then up next, the end of Sector 2, 59.712. And then what is a curvy straight right here with another DRS section. The third out of the 3 we've got in this track right here. And then one big corner to go, of course, turn number 27, where we saw about 4 years ago Max Verstappen crash into the wall right there exactly, and losing a potential pole position. But for Alessandro Finn though, it looks quite nice. It's going to be a 1 minute 26.2, the first lap time on the board of the night.
This can only get quicker as the track slowly ramps up, the rubber gets laid down. We're going to see those times decrease, and well, JST was next across the line, but quickly Orpel in that Haas is just knocking off yet another 10th off the lap time, bringing that Haas to pole position. Dennis in the Aston Martin, not the quickest, but will find himself in 5th. Respectable time at a 26.3. Marcel, what can he do with the RB? Finds himself 4th, reasonable lap times. Neil Gout crosses the line into 7th as slowly the lap times are actually increasing here. So a little bit of a gap between some drivers. Oliver Knott, can he find himself within the top 3? How about pole position? That's a great way to kick things off in the early rounds of qualifying. Few more drivers to go. Ryan Grob not able to find a good lap time, actually 2 seconds off the pole sitter. Is that a potential problem that he had midway through the lap, or is it just a case of that's the pace he's got, hopefully the first rather than the latter? Damien coming across the line in the McLaren, finds himself 4th fastest, and that is all as Nando, well, going for that off strategy, wants the track to be a bit more grippy before he starts his run.
Yeah, out of sync already. Let's see if he can do 3 runs tonight. He's out a little bit late. I can't see the timer at the moment since there's a yellow flag in both Sector 2 and 3 for slow-going cars. So we'll keep you updated on that. A little look at the championship contenders here, Hyper. Currently sitting P8 and P9. It still is, of course, a banker lap, but is this a potential worrying sign for them?
There's a little bit of scratching of head, of course, because you're sitting here, you're not near the top where you need to be to gain the most amount of points, and the spread across this championship, you could even look down to Thomas Laminen's position in 5th, even though he's not racing today. If he was racing, would be still in contention to fight for this championship. So there's a lot of points to be fought here. So that critically is what I'm looking out for, plus that pole position lap time point as well that comes with it. So Oliver Knott, he's going to love it. He's not near the top at the moment in the championship, actually. Jesus Christ, he's a long way down. I can't even find him on the sheet. Where's he got on the sheet?
He's either might be just out of the list because it doesn't fit, or
23rd.
There we go.
23rd. He was definitely near the bottom. 13th on his first race, 14th to the 13th with 2 DNFs and a lot of DNSs. So unlike the pace of Oliver Knott, but his comrade on the other side, I don't trust the purples in this game. But if that's a purple middle, Nando, he's got some pace in him today.
I wouldn't be surprised. I know Nando Moreira to be quite a quick driver these days, and this might be a track to his liking with all the straights and the quick bits. So onwards he goes to the main straight, past the pit lane entry. Let's see if he can beat his teammate's lap time, 25.834. It's a 25.950, which is just over a tenth of his own teammate's lap time, and puts him into P4 for the time being. So far, not too bad. He's got 10.5 minutes remaining for potentially 2 additional runs, which I think should just be enough to do it, including the in-lap. Ryan Grob, on the meanwhile, is on his way as well. He's currently half a second quicker in the middle sector, so he's definitely looking for an improvement, but half a second will not be nearly good enough to improve a position from last on the board at the moment. He joined a little bit late, I believe. That nearly went terribly wrong out of the final corner. Thankfully for him, still looking strong, however, has decided to abandon his lap and go again a little bit later, fast into the pit lane, and then try later. Soon enough, then we'll see if he can get himself off that cursed last place. 1.2 seconds away at the moment from the next car. Neil Guillot in 14th in the Sauber. As we're speaking, several cars heading back out on track, including one of the championship contenders, Alex Santana. Alexi Cavero is still happily sitting in the pit lane. The only Red Bull driving tonight, by the way. There's only 15 drivers on the grid at the moment. I saw a lot of last-minute drivers calling off for tonight's race, unfortunately. That is what it is. So 15 drivers it is most likely going to be, with 10 of them being able to score points. A total of 51 points, if my math is correct, still to gain for the season.
I want to talk a bit about this track and the difficulties that come with it. We have to respect this is one of the fastest street circuits. No, it is the fastest street circuit. It is the second fastest circuit on track. But there are a lot of difficulties that come with this type of speed, particularly those S's from 4 to 12. That is a difficult section of slaloms where one mistake can massively throw off a lot of time. Not excluding that turns 8 and 10 are areas that you can also invalidate your lap time. So that's something you have to be mindful of. And then, of course, you have the tricky kind of switch directions that you get from turns 22 and also into turns 16 and 17 as well. Those kind of fast switches, again, you can make and break lap time, because if you're not on the power early enough, you will lose momentum come the straights that go straight after. And then finally, of course, 27. Well, we saw Max Verstappen 4 years ago go into the wall. They extended that wall to make it easier for you to push harder. However, that's still something you've got to utilize all the way up to the bittersweet edge. So drivers, they have to be mindful, but a lot of this is pedal all the way down to the metal.
Alex Santana, about 0.2 of a second quicker in Sector 1, will put him pretty much near the top 5 as we speak. But then again, a lot of drivers find themselves on an improvement lap for sure. The track evolution is definitely kicking in. Alex Santana, I believe, hit the wall a little bit there out of the exit of turn number 17. So let's hope that didn't hamper his lap time too much. We'll find out now. Second sector is still a little bit quicker again. He gained another 10th or so through Sector 2. 2.5 tenths quicker as we speak. That will put him very near the top of the field with the current lap times. Of course, Oliver Knott still the fastest. Diego Ferro just behind him in second place with a 25.8 as well. Potentially, Alex Santana could do the same thing. He needs it if he wants to mount a proper charge to Scott Holmes in the championship, since Scott is absent tonight. Keep that in mind, and up he goes. He keeps it in mind as well. Alex Santana to provisional pole. Now let's see if Alexi Cavero is going to have an answer.
Yeah, there has to be an answer from Alexi. You've got to step up and at least be top 2, because there are small chances of overtaking when we come to the race. But front row alongside your championship contender, that's exactly the position you want to find him. On the other hand, we look across the field as well. There's still potential for Oliver not to improve. Alexandro to take the step up as well. And don't forget of Marios, who snuck his way into 5th as the Alpine driver. That is also drivers we've got to be mindful of. We've got a couple of dark blue drivers coming across the line. Is there improvements? No, I'm not seeing it on the board just yet. No one's
There's
improving
Damien
except
Carril.
for Damien Carril. Across the line, 1:25.7 gets beaten by Oliver Knott. I said again, you have to be mindful as a 25.6, but as we look at Alexi Cavero, as he's rounding the treacherous 27, the make and break corner, is there enough to put himself on pole?
Let's see. He takes as much of the inside on the straight as he can as he goes across the line. It's only a 25.9. It's just good enough for P8. It is 2.5 tenths quicker, yes, but it will not find him anywhere near the top of the field. Alex Santana has now been bumped down to 3rd position. JST has managed to improve to P4 at the moment. And once again, Nana Moreira out of sync for his 2nd run. The only driver now on a proper hot lap. We also saw Bennett Hayder improve to what is now P9. His teammate Marcel Biega finds himself in 12th still. Ryan Grob has improved massively, but still in last position. About half a tenth back from Neil Guillot. Is a lot better in terms of getting a position than he had previously, but it's still not good enough to find himself into top 10, despite there being 15 drivers. It looks like Ryan might struggle here tonight. His teammate in 4th, as well as Neil, actually. I'm a bit surprised he's that far down. He is a street circuit specialist, especially Monaco is his all-time favorite track, as Nando Moreira goes about half a tenth quicker than his previous attempt. So Neil, yeah, I wonder if this track perhaps is one of his less favorites to drive around, or perhaps he's just not having a great night overall. Nando Moreira round the final corner. Once again, his teammate on pole position takes a little bit of slipstream from one of the McLarens right there. Goes across the line, finds himself much better there. A lot of improvement found in the final sector, well over a tenth quicker. Now in 4th position, and Ferrari on average appear to be the strongest team.
What? Ferrari strong? I haven't heard that for a while.
That's going to make the headlines tomorrow.
Yeah, Ferrari on top. Well, with 2026 coming up, it could be anyone's game, especially with an 11th team on the grid. But enough about the real world. We keep our eyes here, and yeah, I think Neil not going to be overly happy with his performance. There's definitely room for improvement. The fact that you said that his favorite track is Monaco is... I'm just going to condemn anybody who says their favorite track is Monaco. Straight up. But no, this is a lot different to the likes of Monaco. It's a lot different to Baku, because Baku and Monaco do have that technicality behind them in terms of slow corners. And it means that you've got to be a lot more cautious with your throttle control. With a track like this, I wouldn't say you're not cautious of your throttle control. You can put your foot down a lot harder, a lot more aggressively, and you are just essentially relying on aerodynamics to bring you through. So it is two different styles to play with. It's like saying going to Monaco and going to Monza. They are two different tracks entirely, with two different specialties that come with it.
Yeah. Looks like indeed Neil's specialty is the technicality, the technicalness, so to say, of Monaco. So let's see. He's now a bit closer than to Dennis Kamensky. Found himself a bit of improvement on his previous attempt, about a tenth quicker. It is still only P14. Alessandro Finn is the first of the drivers out for their final run here in Jeddah. And then we'll see whether that's a prediction of a... well, it's definitely not going to be a high 25 anymore. We're actually approaching the mid-25s as we speak, with Oliver Knott with a 25.697. Can we see anyone gonna go for a 25.5? We'll have to wait and see. Perhaps Oliver Knott himself can do it, but keep in mind, Damien Carril is, believe it or not, only 5 milliseconds behind him on the front row. And that could be a close call indeed. Somebody else who could be potentially in pole position could be championship contender Alex Santana. Nando Moreira might pull off a surprise as well. Perhaps even JST or Alessandro Finn might be quick enough, and maybe even Diego Ferrer. In fact, looking down the list, it is Diego Ferrer, who's exactly 0.2 of a second away from pole position in P7. That is how close it is tonight. So let's see which of these 7 drivers, or maybe somebody else, is going to go for pole.
JST on Monday did not have a great race. So he wants a bit of redemption. I could definitely say for sure that racing around... oh God, what was it on Monday? Literally, it was just Monday, and I've forgotten what track we were racing on. Is my memory that bad? Anyway, nonetheless, there's definitely a little bit of anger within him. He wants to come back. He wants to... Netherlands, there it was. He wants to come back. He wants to improve and essentially come with a fight that's worthwhile.
Yeah, let's see. Jonas Orpel as well on his way. Oh, it looks like we're going to have a lobby restart as Bennett Hayter gets a 5-place grid penalty for illegally blocking another driver in an outlap. Just gotta love the shenanigans of this game sometimes. So the race will have to be delayed by a little bit to remove Bennett's unnecessary penalty, so to say. He's currently sitting in 10th place on the grid with a 25.935. We're watching Jonas Orpel. Ahead of him, Alessandro Finn. Let's see if he's on an improvement. No, he isn't actually. He's invalidated his lap, and he's now rapidly making his way back to the line, cutting corners everywhere to make sure he's there in time. With 16 seconds remaining, that is gonna be a little bit close. 10 seconds now in the final corner.
I don't think he's gonna do it.
Oh, that's gonna be insanely tight. Alex Santana is just in time to start a hot lap, and it looks like Alessandro is not making it to the line for another attempt, and that means P6 is gonna be the best he can do. So we're swapping our attention then to Jonas Orpel in P11 at the moment. What's the improvement going to be? That's a nice improvement already into P4, but a lot of drivers still on their way. JST is invalidated as well. A man that I thought could potentially be in pole position will not be there at all. Then Damien Carril, 5 milliseconds away from pole now, and he's gonna come around the final corner. Behind him is the Alpine of Marius Ioanu in P9 at the moment. Damien Carril, what's his improvement gonna be? Will it be pole position? It will be, for the time being, about a 10th quicker than Oliver Nutt. Up next, Marius Ioanu goes 6th fastest. Then one of the Aston Martins. Is it gonna be Alex Santana? No, he's backed out of it. Alex Santana has backed out of his hot lap. He will not be in pole position either. Then we're swapping our attention to Oliver. Slower in the middle sector and crashes into the wall. Loses part of his front wing. That is his run over as well. So, is there anybody else we can turn our attention to? Perhaps Alexi Cavero can pull something magical out of his hat. Let's see what he does here. Improves the P8. It's a little bit better, but still nowhere near the top 5. 25.86869. Ryan Grob is going straight back into the pit lane. So I'd say a little bit of an anticlimactic final few runs right there, with some crashes here and there, some invalidations, means that Damien Carril will be the first pole sitter in PCF4 in 2026.
Wow. A couple of mistakes, a couple of invalidations, a couple of people crashing at the very end.
Yeah.
Talk about everything that can go wrong will go wrong. As it is Alexander Santana. There we go, finally into the pits to kind of end all of our pain and troubles. But what a kind of a very anticlimactic end. I wanted there to be a bit more of an excitement, but you know what? I'll take what's given. I'll take what's given in F1 esports.
Yeah, there it is. The Dutchman from pole position. The closest championship contender will still be starting from P3, despite not improving. So that's great for him there. Jonas Orpel, with his big improvement, finds himself from 11th to 4th all the way. Marcel Biega, a great lap from him as well, finds himself in P5. Then Nino Moreira, 6th place for him. Marius Ioanu, P7. Then Alexi Cavero, other championship contender, in P8. JST in 9th place. Then Alessandro Finn, P10. Bennett Hayter will be, I believe, getting his penalty removed. There's currently questions being asked. What occurred for you to get the 5-place grid penalty? Well, I can tell you, he was just driving like everybody else on an outlap, so that penalty was completely unwarranted. Then Diego Ferrer, P12. Neil Gio, P13. Dennis Kamensky in 14th, and then Ryan Grob. It looked like the difference there in lap times between 14th and 15th is vast. So either Ryan is having a miserable day, maybe he didn't get enough practice in for the round tonight. Nonetheless, it looks like it might be a struggle for him. The rest is within half a second of pole position.
Yeah, a very, very close grid, which means we should have a very, very close race. Which, in every time I've done Saudi, you think there would be a lot of overtaking and quite an interesting race. No, unfortunately not. It's DRS train. Austria, on the other hand, that actually is a lot of overtaking, but not here. No, it definitely will be a very. It very much will be the first 3 laps will make and break this race, and then tire strategy from there onwards, which we are seeing a lot of drivers play huge offsets on their tire strategy.
Yep. I'm currently watching the Discord. It's confirmed, Hyper, that there's going to be a restart by our tier coordinator, which is Neil Guillot, by the way, from here on forwards. We're going to stay in the same lobby, so I'll be a few extra minutes to get things going to make sure that Bennett Hader's penalty gets removed fair and square. That means he'll still be starting from P11. So this start you're watching right now is tentative, but it's always glorious to give you a little bit of insight on how drivers are going to retire as fast as they can. For example, Damien Carril just goes right, or is supposed to go straight on, crashes into the wall. And that's his race effectively done already. There we go. Fancy. A lot of cars crashing into the wall. There's one of the Racing Bull mounting a Haas. It's absolutely glorious. The Williams cars are having a great time now in the front of the field. Alessandro Fin turns left, and there's a Williams making a big overtake on the Marcel Biega as they now make their way through the snaky section. Let's see who's going to find the wall first. Damien is just taking it slow and easy. The safety car is out already. It's absolute chaos. Let's hope this is not going to be the real race start. That will be quite the sight to watch indeed. We're just waiting. Look at that, Hyper. The Williamses are having fun there in front.
They're still racing each other, knowing that it's... let's see how quickly we get a black flag instead.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any rules on how quickly they're supposed to retire, but the Williamses are just... driving around fast, getting drive-through penalties until they get disqualified indeed.
I love this. I love the fact that the thing is, it's also good practice for them. They can literally work out what they need to do as we just cutting the corner. Oh, this is entertaining in itself.
Whoa!
There it is.
Wow, the cameraman nearly got beheaded there.
And Ryan Grubb from last. Hey, we see it.
Beautiful.
Finally.
Last to first in the first lap and disqualified. There we go. Now we've seen everything. Beautiful.
Clever. Well, while they get to a reset, we're gonna hop onto a very, very quick break, and when we come back, it will be the race for Saudi Arabia.
Indeed, we will. We'll see you in a few moments. In the meanwhile, the calendar will be up on the screen for a little while. All right, that actually pretty quick restart, I have to admit. We're back in business. People are, of course, now picking their tire choices once again. Feel like, as per usual, they were picking the harder tire option. People often fancy 2 sets of hards instead of 2 sets of mediums. It also gives us a bit of time to talk about their potential strategies. Will it make the race a bit different, do you think? Or will we still see a long DRS train until the pit stops and then wait until what happens after that?
Honest answer, DRS trains. What I really would like is for a little bit of action, a little bit of craziness to keep us going. But I think the only saving grace of not being a DRS train is going to be the second half of the race, where we start to see tire offsets. If we do see somebody who is willing to risk a 2-stop strategy as well, if they went for a medium setup. But realistically, it's going to be medium hard to the end. It's a one-stop race, so it does come down to how long can you stay out on those mediums, vice versa. If you do start on the hards, how long can you stay out on the hards before switching over to the medium and going fast? Because you can create pace difference that is a second and a half quicker than your opponents. And being that this track is very straight lined, it does open up multiple overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, so perhaps it might not be too bad as we are a little bit fearing here, to be honest, but you never really know. Let's see if everybody does indeed favor the medium to hard strategy. So maybe some drives in the back, especially Ryan Grob. I am expecting a little bit to go for the alternate strategy, hard to medium, to see if he can find himself a bit further forwards. Maybe a safety car will help him out a little bit. And yeah, in terms of how long they can go in the mediums, 10 laps, I think, is a bit of the average time they're going to go into the pit lane. I've seen some drivers extend it to about 12-ish laps, and then 13 on the hard tires. Some will go in a bit earlier to try and undercut, but that means they'll have to keep the hard tires alive a little bit longer. Either way, one stop is indeed the way to go. And the first time I commentated on this track, drivers were still unsure which strategy was best. So 1 or 2 stop, and it turned out that the 2 stop wasn't that far away from the 1 stop, but it was still slower either way. Of course, a safety car can still throw things wildly around, especially if we've got a mix of strategies. We'll have to wait and see. I believe the ready up was at 34 minutes past, which has just gone by. So all we need to do now is, there we are, the rides are going on right now, we're about to get going, once again in 2026 for the first time here, round 9, Saudi Arabia. We're going to go off the line there with Damien Carril in pole position, Oliver Knott trying to cover him off into turn 1 there. Damien Carril defends against the Ferrari, and there is Alex Santana. His championship here could potentially be on the line, so he needs to get moving, and he does so immediately, at least against Oliver Knott. Takes second place already. Oliver Knott slots in behind a bit further back. It's Marius Ioanu fighting several cars at once. Marcel Biega is losing some position. It's a bit chaotic like that. Look at that in Sector 1 right there. A lot of cars going side by side in Sector 1, which is quite tricky indeed, but Marcel Biega and the rest appear to come off quite unscathed, and all cars have gone through Sector 1 without any damage to their wings whatsoever, at least as far as we can see there. Alessandro Finn tried to go on the inside of Neil Guillot. Neil having an absolutely brilliant start from 14th on the grid, finds himself in well into the top 10 already, and chasing down Marcel Biega for 8th place. Ryan Grob hanging on to last place for now, but he's keeping up with the rest of the field. But look at Damien Carril, already nearly a second clear from Alex Santana. Will this be domination from the Dutchman, or will Alex Santana start to give chase?
While talking of Santana, that start was a dream come true. Damien played aggressive to fend off that inside line, really catching Oliver Knott out, and Oliver Knott so focused trying to get the lead of the race, forgot that Alex Santana, who had a fantastic launch, was able to get alongside him into turn 2, much like how Dennis Kamensky, who is going side by side with Bennett Hatter. This could go down into turn 1, but Kamensky still staying there, still staying with it, and all it takes is one good lunge and a little love tap, but that eventually will concede for 15th and 14th. But at the front, it really was standard procedure. Alex Santana needed that position. Thankfully, has not allowed Damien to get too far ahead. That gap, 0.7 seconds, but has Damien used up a lot of energy early on. Jonas Orpil on a different strategy.
Yeah, that's fascinating. The bottom 5, unsurprisingly, have gone for the alternate strategy. But the biggest surprise here is indeed Jonas Orpel, the odd one out in the top 5, I have to say, there on the hard tires. That might be very interesting to watch later down the line. As long as he can keep within DRS range here in the opening stint, he should be quite all right to go fast in the second stint and overtake them one by one. We'll have to see, though, how that works out for him. He'll not be alone on that strategy. JST all the way down to Dennis Kamensky on the hard tires as well. All they need to do as well is keep up with Alessandro Finn in P10. Neil Gio is trying to hunt down Marcel Biega, who in his turn is getting awfully close to Marius Joano. In fact, I think Marcel might want to go for an overtake. He has a little look in the background. It is Alessandro Finn and JST nearly going side by side, and that's it for a spot in the top 10. JST is already hounding the Mercedes despite his hard tires. In fact, he's getting a good run once again against Alessandro Finn into turn 1. He's going to have to go around the outside. Will he have enough grip, or will Alessandro's medium tires do him a big favor there? He does go around the outside back into 10th place, and he stays ahead for the time being, but they are losing time in this battle, and it might make Alessandro vulnerable, and it might also make the rest of the hard tire users vulnerable, so we'll lose connection to the top 9 with DRS, and that might be crucial for them. In the meanwhile, Alexi Cavero awfully close to Nando Moreira. There's quite a few fights going on the track at the moment.
There's a couple that they all are bunched up together. All there needs to be now is just a mistake and they can all capitalize. But I feel we're also starting to get to that point. Like I said, lap 3 is when drivers start to calm down. They start to understand they've got to play the long game here, try and eke out these tires for as long as they can while maintaining pace. But critically, and thank you for changing it, Alex Santana dropped a second behind temporarily. He is on the fringe here and is getting a little worried.
Yeah, Damien's, or either he's used a lot more energy again, or maybe he's just got a very low wing setup. Look at his steering wheel, he's still got half a battery left. Alex Santana's battery, let's see, is about the same more or less. He's now pushing hard to keep up. He's still got Oliver not in tow. Oliver's not too far behind. It looks like he might want to retake that second place sooner rather than later, but for now, he's staying behind, way too far back to make a move. Jonas Orpel, though, will be the biggest threat very soon once those mediums start to wear off and die out a little bit. It's gonna be this man who might be in charge of a victory hunt there. That was a tricky bit there out of turns 4 and 5. Trying to keep the car on track, of course. Those hards are still giving him a little bit of a hard time at the moment. Stay within the white lines. He does so quite well. A bit further back, it's Alexi Cavero, who appears to be really fast in Sector 1, chasing down Nando, and then Nando just runs away again on the straight bits. So it looks like Alexi's got a bit more wing to his car tonight, as opposed to Nando, who prefers straight line speed, and that does indeed favor him for the time being. You can see it here through the corners. Is now where Alexi on the exit loses out a little bit, and then Nando is just running away.
Yeah, we're seeing quite often the drivers who are running that heavier wing is going to take advantage in Sector 1, and I think that's what we're seeing from Damien as well. He's running a little bit more wing, as that was ridiculously wide from Alexi. I'm surprised he didn't lose that. Sorry, not from Alexi, from Marcel. He's lucky to keep his position right now. But what I was saying, Damien Carell, running that higher downforce, he's really building that gap through Sector 1, and that gives him that breathing space through this fast section of Sector 2 and 3. So this might be the strategy he's running off, is if I could build the gap early and maybe create second before getting to DRS, he knows that the driver, no matter what setup is, if it is a straight line setup or it is a wing setup behind him, they can't catch up. So Sector 1 is critical. As we see, it was 0.3, it's now 0.5, it's about to come 0.6, and slowly just creates that gap.
Quite interesting to watch, actually, how these setups make a difference. Oh, looks like Neil has made a mistake here. He's being swarmed by 3 or 4 cars all at the same time. Loses 2 or 3 positions at once there. What's going on here? He's going really slow. He's now being overtaken by Ryan Gropp, and then up next is Bennett Hayter going past as well. Has he just thrown in the towel? Well, something happened? Does he have damage? At least not visually. His car looks fine to us. But whatever happened, it's definitely not worked out in his favor.
He left the lobby.
I didn't see that.
It's just popped up at the bottom, yeah.
Oh,
it just said he
dear.
joined, so it was the AI driving, not himself. And that is so unfortunate to see, as Oliver Knott, while that's all happening, 2 tenths behind going into 27. If this was the final few laps, this would be a brilliant opportunity to overtake. Now, do you take that risk this early in the race? That's a question that we have to ask. Right now, the answer, no. Remaining patient, understanding this isn't the right time to go for the attack.
JST, though, has decided it is the right time to get on the move. His harder tires are now appearing to be a little bit faster than at least Alessandro Finz's mediums. And he's now in the middle of the pack of the medium tire users. This might be a sign for Jonas that he might want to knock on Oliver Knott's door. And he's already doing so in Sector 1. As you can see, the tires are now 5 laps old. And Jonas is approaching fast in Sector 1. Nando is losing time to win. It is indeed proof that Jonas's tires are now in a better shape. Epic Freestyler in the chat asking, Frostbreath, is that you? Yes, it is. So hi to you. Long time no see, by the way. And glad to see you tuning in here for PCF4. As it stands, Damien Carril leads from Alex Santana, Oliver Knott, Jonas Orpel, the old one out in the top 5 on the hard tires, knocking on Oliver's door. Neno Moreira in P5 there, Alexi Cavero right behind him in 6th, another championship contender there, trying to gain the big points. Neither of them gain pole position, so they won't get a point for that one, but they want to make as many points towards Scott Holmes as they can tonight. And Alex Santana so far is doing the best job, or is he? Because there is Oliver Knott once again trying to get him lined up for a move in turn 27, perhaps? No, not yet. Once again, another opportunity then on the next straight. Perhaps Alex Santana is gonna be forced to move past Damien Carril in order to defend his position and then gain the lead at the same time, but he's too far back. Oliver Knott is now really close. Once again, Alex Santana defending the inside and Oliver Knott still waiting behind patiently for a better opportunity. It's a rather good idea to play it more safe than sorry. Next up to overtake Alessandro Finn was nearly Diego Ferrer, but Alessandro had a little bit of tire life left to defend against him in turns 1 and 2. So far though, it is indeed looking like the medium tires are starting to fall off.
Yeah, we're coming to that crossover point where the hards now will take advantage. That higher compound means they last longer. They're going to carry a bit more speed. And talking of a bit more speed, how about this cheeky lunge into 13 as he sticks to the inside? Has to remain patient. You can't run, you can't whine, as there's a wheel of the Ferrari just ahead of you. But that's the first level of aggression that we saw from Jonas Orpel. Hats off to him. It was nearly a committed move. And this just proves our point. These hards are now starting to become faster. And I was going to make the point earlier on. Lap 6, 7 is where we're going to start to see them balance out and be even to the point of crossing over to be actually faster. But these medium runners, they want to make it to lap 12. That's kind of the dream scenario. If they can get to 12, if they can get it to at least 10, bonus. They've done a good job. That's the goals they have to make here. Is down the inside. Alexi Cavero needed to make that overtake onto the Ferrari as he does now the drag strip all the way down to turn 1. He'll have the inside line, which will be beautiful, but if that Ferrari contests around the outside, he might have to fight into the corners. That is a very late lunge by the Ferrari driver of Nando. Still, the Red Bull driver of Alexi will stay, but wait, you go to turn 3 as that's contact between both of them. The Ferrari goes a little bit wide and we can continue the fight side by side through the S's. One has to concede, and finally, Nando says, right, you can have it. I'm done.
That cost them a lot of time. 1.5 seconds now clear from the top 4. That is terrible news indeed. It came at a great cost, but at least he's now into P5. Alexi Cavero is. We saw JST losing a whole lot of positions, finds himself in P12. All of a sudden, I can't see the join and leave messages due to my Windows taskbar being neatly in the way of that exact position there. So there's that. Let's hope Neil Gio has rejoined. I think he has. He's now keeping up somewhat with the rest of the field. 2 seconds back. That's really unfortunate. He had such a great race start into the points and then dropping out of it fast. And now JST is struggling as well. Marcel Biega is getting awfully close to the Alpine of Marius Ioanu ahead of them. And then Morera trying to overtake Alexi Cavero for P5. 4 cars fighting. A dive from Marius against Nando Morera. And as the moment that Nando Morera thought he was going to attack Alexi Cavero for position, he now finds himself behind an Alpine all of a sudden. I'm sure he didn't want that. In the meanwhile, at the front of the field, Alex Santana has taken the lead after going really deep in turn 1 against Damien Carril. He keeps the position though for the time being, and now he has become the race leader, at least for now. And that is going to play some potential huge points for him there on the board. If he can keep it ahead of all of these cars, is going to be crucial. His nearest rival, Alexi Cavero, has now lost a lot of positions, finds himself in 7th at the moment. One lap there is nothing that's happening, and the other lap suddenly 3 things at once are happening at the same time, and this is how it stands now.
Well, I'll tell you what, before this race started, we were sitting here condemning Saudi Arabia and its track for a lack of overtaking, not being interesting. I would say that we got pretty interesting and definitely gave us a little shot of espresso, keeping us awake and reminding us that this track has a little bit of potential. And to add some fuel to the fire, we're getting closer to that pit stop window as well. We're going to start to see maybe 1 or 2 drivers go in early, see if they can create that undercut for track position, while others trying to stay out. So these overtakes are critical for positioning on the track, and that's why Alex and Santana had to make that move. He must be ahead. And then Marius, brave, bold. I don't know what you call that. Crazy? I was crazy once, stuck in a rubber room full of rats, and he went into the pits.
As are several others. It looks like Marius, Alexi and Marcel are going to go for the undercut strategy instead of going long on those mediums, which means they'll have to nurse the hards to the end of the race. But this could actually help Alexi Cavero get back to the top 4 once they come in for their stops as well. Of course, they lost a lot of time. They were 2.5 seconds away from that group, as Nando Morera is now proving, with him now being up to P5. It was only costing them more and more time with those medium tires being pretty much dead. Meanwhile, Jonas Orpel is still sitting in 4th place, hasn't made any move against the top 3 yet. Looks like he's finding it difficult to make his way past either that, or he's just playing the patience game and just waiting for a better opportunity to get past, or saving his tires to go as long as possible on those hards, so the mediums by the end of the next stint will be as fresh as they possibly can be. Half a second now from Oliver Knott. The top 4 is clear from Nando Morera. He's all alone right now. He's got nobody to tow off with and work together. Alessandro Finn is leading the next large group of cars all the way down to Neil Guillot, who has nearly managed to get back to the group. So fair play to him. Despite his pretty much dead mediums, he's doing a great job at getting back at them in the race.
Yeah, I want to go back to your point of the Jonas Orpel situation and why we're not seeing him start to overtake, even though he is so much quicker. That's the one reason. All the drivers ahead of him are going to pit, so he doesn't have to make those reckless moves. Second of all, he is going to be saving tires. He knows that the front runners are controlling the pace of this race. It is so common to see in F1 esports that the driver at front is not going to push 100%. So that's why he's waiting. But with the pit stops coming in, critically, has Marius got ahead? Has that undercut come to fruition? Damien is side by side. Damien will stay ahead. And critically, Alex Santana also ahead of the Alpine driver.
Oh, Oliver Knott has had a crash. I suddenly saw a yellow flag, and there is Oliver's front wing, and that is his chances for race victory down the drain. He needs to nurse his car all the way back to the pit lane around the entire lap, and with this many corners, look at that, he's just given up already. He knows his race is immediately over. Makes way for all the cars. That is such a shame. He was on a roll, started from 2nd, was in 3rd. And now he finds himself with no more chance on race victory. And I wouldn't be surprised if he retires his car in the pit lane now. He was left with Jonas Orpel at the front of the field. I'm not sure what exactly happened, whether they were fighting or not, whether it has cost Jonas a crucial bit of time there, but he's now all alone, 5 seconds away from Diego Ferrer, which is the next car on the hard tire. And now we're going to see if Jonas, how long Jonas is going to go around on those hard tires. Did his car get damaged? Looks like it's quite fine indeed. He's going to go around for the 11th time here around Saudi Arabia, the Jeddah Street Circuit. Then, of course, the group of Diego Ferrer, 2 Williams cars, Bennett Hader and Dennis Kamensky from 2nd down to 7th. And then it is indeed Damien Carril leading soon when everybody's made their pit stops from Marius Ioanu and Alexi Cavero. But do keep in mind, though, from that one lap that Marius and Alexi went in earlier, they've gained about 2.5 seconds on him. So that was a huge undercut, and it nearly worked.
Just want to point out here as well, just kind of the forecast of what to expect. Right now, Damien Carril is lapping about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds quicker than and Alexander Santana are lapping 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds faster than the people who are currently on 11 lap old tires. So we're going to start seeing them catch up. Guaranteed we're going to see Alex Santana start making overtakes amongst his fellow competitors. But that role will flip in the near future as they will have to do their pit stops later on. We're going to probably see this round the lap 16, 17, and they will do the same. So there is a lot of question marks in how much of a gap you can create. So if you're Jonas Orpel, you're in a prime position. You've got a 5-second gap from the rest of the runners who are about in total 2-3 seconds to then where Alex Santana is right now. He's got buffer. He's got nearly just about 10 seconds between where the provisional race leader is to massively eke out his stint and then have a shorter gap to fight back afterwards.
Yeah, and it looks like Alex might be in a world of trouble. Ahead of him, there's a group of cars fighting quite aggressively. We saw Diego Ferrer bumping into the rear of Ryan Grobbs-Williams, who seems to have found his race pace a bit more now that he's out on track. Qualifying wasn't his thing, but it looks like race pace is much more his cup of tea. Alex Santana does have one little upside, though, in that group, and that is his own teammate, Dennis Kamensky. Dennis is not fighting for the championship, but perhaps he knows that Alex is going to need a little bit of help here to keep Damien behind. At the moment, Damien can't find himself in range of DRS to get back in the fight for the win. Alex is now the one that is faster between these two drivers on the second stint. The hard tires favoring him a little bit better, but he's approaching his teammate fast. Dennis Kamensky is now the next car ahead. He is within DRS range already. Let's see what happens. Is Dennis gonna move out of his way as soon as he can? He's already out of DRS range of the group ahead. So up the next corner, it's going to be Alex. Very close behind the second Aston Martin in the field. And I don't think Dennis is going to make a big deal out of it. Looks like he's already hogging the inside. Is he, though? No, he's actually moving to the outside. Is he going to fight his teammate? No, of course not. That's a great deal done there. But Alex went a little bit deep, to be fair. We also saw Dennis having a little bit of front wing damage. And that means he's going to go early for a pit stop to perhaps repair that wing. Oliver Knott, in the meanwhile, has pitted. He has not retired, though, so fair play to him as he keeps going strong. In the meanwhile, Diego and Ryan are playing bumper cars in turns 1 and 2 once again. And now Diego is the car ahead of the two of them into second place. He goes 6.3 seconds away from Jonas Orpel, who is happily driving ahead in the field. There's a yellow flag. It's Ryan Gropp. He's crashed. Is that a safety car? No, it's not. It's a virtual safety car. That was nearly a dream scenario, and there's more chaos in the background, I believe. There's some more chaos going on. Damien Carril and Marius were swapping positions somehow. Marius is now ahead of the McLaren. Not sure what's going on right here. Were they trying to avoid Ryan Grobbs' Williams? He was in the wall there, and they were getting past him. That is such a shame for Ryan. He was doing a good job out there, and now he's out.
Yeah, I think it was contact that just happened through the S's, just spun him around into the wall. Definitely will be a few harsh words in the chat afterwards.
Yeah, I'm watching it now.
He's waiting for the drama to come through. So there's definitely going to be a few drivers coming in. Definitely JST will want to get into the pits, change that front wing. But critically here as well, all this happened at the other end of the track. So this virtual safety car will most likely go green now before the opportunity to go in. But just like that, we can see the 3 drivers ahead that are going to be going side by side into 27 as they are 3 abreast going in. Alpine looks to the inside, but it's Damien Carell who's going to say, thank you very much. I'm going to sneak up the inside, take some free overtakes, and close down that gap to Jonas, because Jonas is the biggest threat here.
And he's now in the pit lane. He's gone to lap 15 on his hard tires, has swapped to the mediums. And now we're going to find out how quick he's going to be. Finds himself well clear of Marcel Biega. He needs to cover about 3.5 seconds now to the Racing Bull. And then there's still a long way to go until he finds himself back within range of the race lead. Damien Carell now right behind Bennett Hader, who's still driving around on those old hard tires. Alex Santana has now completely escaped from the rest of the field, so Jonas's victory chances, I think, are looking a little bit slim, but perhaps a podium is still an option if he can go really fast. He's already gained half a second on Marcel Biega on 5-lap old hard tires. This is going to be fascinating to watch. Dennis Kamensky has swapped to the medium tires as well. 9.5 seconds clear from the Alessandro Finn. He will not play any role in any victory chances tonight. And there goes Damien Carell past Bennett Hader, who just simply lets him by, knowing that this is not his fight. His fight will be with the guys he was with before all the shenanigans happened between Ryan Grubb and I think Diego Ferrer, as Ryan Grubb just said in the Discord, can't wait for cross-teaming allegations. I'm not sure what he means by that, but we'll have to find out. Wait and see what the FIA thinks of it. There's Alexi Guevara on Bennett Hader as well, as Bennett is probably going to pit right in this lap, and he does indeed. Diego Ferrer, same story, and now everybody has gone in and back out for their next set of tires. This is the true order of the race. Alex leads from Damien Carell, 1.5-ish seconds more or less. Alexi Guevara finds himself all the way up in 3rd place with its slightly older tires than the top 2. It is Jonas Orpel who's now the hunter to the rest of the field in 7th place, with Marcel Biega so far the only driver with a penalty with 3 seconds.
4-5 lap tire difference that we're going to see between Jonas Orpel and the 6 ahead of him. That, in F1 Esportsbook, is a half a second a lap quicker every lap. So he will crunch down. He was at 2.5 originally. He's now at 1.6, 1.5 seconds of a gap. So he is slowly decreasing. He's going to have better grip going into these corners as well, be able to push a bit more. So be prepared to see Jonas really start to make his way through the field. However, the rest of the drivers will fight harder than we saw before. So be prepared for a few aggressive elbows out, a little bit of cheeky, maybe a cheeky double move that probably shouldn't be there to keep Jonas Orpel behind, because they're entitled to that fight.
No surprises there. He's losing time on those bits where the DRS goes wide open. Gains it all back in the corners. Sector 1 will be his place to make it up. I think he's going to get into DRS in that sector on this lap, lap 17. He will have 8 laps to get back to the race leader. Looks like Damien Carell is getting closer in Sector 1. Loses it once again in the other 2 sectors. 1.4 seconds, I should say. Behind Alex Santana at the moment. On average, he's gaining about a 10th per lap, I'd say, at the moment, but it could be different the next lap, so it's a bit difficult to predict right there what's going on. Dennis Kamensky and Bennett Hader are swapping positions left, right, and center in P10 and 11. Looks like they would do well to work together to perhaps catch Diego Ferrer, who's all the way by himself and could potentially be pretty vulnerable. That's Fernando Moreira in the wall. Another Ferrari in trouble there. Front wing damage to the right-hand side in turn 13.
Kamensky, 3-second time penalty.
Oh.
Kamensky, our championship contender for exceeding track limits.
Kamensky's
That is
not
unfortunate.
Kamensky's not a championship contender, is he?
Is it
Or
not?
am I?
Am I
Not
going
a-
crazy? No,
It
not
is-
Kamensky. Sorry, I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Alexi.
It's the other Aston Martin.
It began with K. It began with K.
Don't worry.
Anyways.
Oh, there's Jonas, by the way, is already making moves against Marcel Biega, but Marcel has lost a lot of time due to Nando's incident. And Jonas still finds himself 1.7 seconds behind the main group, the top 4. That is Alex, Damien, Alexi, and Marios. So Marios and Alexi especially have made a great choice so far with their undercut. And now they are well within the podium chances. And that is another Ferrari there in the pit lane and retiring this time round. Eno Moreira finds he doesn't stand a chance anymore for some points. Out of the race, such a shame. He was definitely fighting for at least a podium, perhaps more than that, if Damien can catch up to it, but it's not meant to be. That means now Oliver Knott will soon be moving into P12. He's carrying on once again, and that means indeed P12 for him. Still out of the points, but yeah, it is what it is. Ferrari, we're looking quite strong, but then it's almost like real life Ferrari, business as usual, and they are gone. Such a shame, really.
And I'd say that you just needed strategy call to be put into it, add that a little bit of spice, and then we've got a true Ferrari moment. But talking a moment, Jonas is probably the man we need to be watching hands down. He is making ground tenfold. But you were right in saying quite early on, Sector 1 is where he's doing the most work. He's finding a little bit between those the fast sharp turns of 22, 23 and 24 as well. That's helping him tenfold. 17 as well to back things up. So there's a lot of areas that he can crunch the numbers, but critically, once he's in DRS, that's where it becomes a little bit of level field, but he has capitalized and made his way smoothly. He's still got some hard drivers to overtake. He'll join the train, and these drivers I don't think will give up too easy, especially Marios after what he did into turn 27, 3 abreast and taking both of them down the inside. That's not a driver I want to see defending if that's what he does attacking.
I'm curious to see what's going to happen against a driver on faster tires. He's still not within DRS range though, and if he isn't in DRS range by this lap, there we go. It's going to be difficult indeed. He's just on the verge of it. The DRS detection zone is coming up soon. He's just under a second, gaining a lot in this corner here will definitely help him a lot. And there he goes. His rear wing is going to open right at this moment. And then we'll see what he can do now that he's going to be as fast as the rest on the straight. And he's going to have to make his moves. 9/10 back at the moment from Marius Ioanu, gaining a bit more through the corners, but his tires, of course, are degrading as well. So he's going to have to hurry up. Look at that. He's struggling, actually, to stay within range on the straight despite his DRS. He's just barely hanging on, or maybe he's just waiting and saving his tires until the last few laps where he can make the moves a bit better. There goes Alexi Cavero. He's now decided to go on the offensive against Damien Carril. Damien lets him by. He knows it's probably better to swap positions right now and only fight for it in the final few laps, because they do know Jonas is a threat if they do fight for that position.
Would be a huge threat. You can see the Alpine of Marios getting a bit closer once again, seeing if there was anything he could pick up from Damien's demotion of the second place position. All while this is happening, Jonas closing up, and I think you're right in saying he is trying to pick his moment to make a clean overtake. Yes, he has that tire advantage, but these hards are durable, and they're not even touching kind of danger territory for this track either. So they're still relatively fast where they need to be, and that is on the straights. They will hold their own. So Jonas is going to have to see where that mistake comes about so we can capitalize on it. And if he does do it, what's the best moment? Is it into 27? Is it into 1? Is it into 13? That's what he's looking at and trying to weigh up.
Yeah, he's just trying to find where the drives ahead are a bit weaker. Damien Carril,
close.
there he goes. Yep, tries to get back, and he does get back past Alexi Cavero. Alexi, of course, needs that position, that second place, far more than Damien does. Now it's Alex and Alexi, the two championship contenders, finding themselves nearly in the 1-2 position they so want. At the moment, Alex is driving on a beautiful race right now, dominating the rest of the field. 2.5 seconds more than that clear from the rest of the drivers. Looks like victory is getting ever closer to him. But if we know anything about this track, that is an incident can literally be right around the next corner. We've already seen it now happening with 3 drivers. Both Williams cars are out. Nando Moreira is out for Ferrari. Oliver Nott already had a big incident. Neil Gio, of course, was disconnected. Finds himself therefore at the back of the field, only ahead of Oliver Nott. So whatever happened around this track, it's been quite exciting so far. And there's still a few more to come.
I describe the race right now as an espresso. Jump on the start. And when you have another shot again. But I think that's what we're getting in this type of race, is just brief moments as Jonas, closest he's been so far, dropped it down to 3/10, so maybe this is the push that he starts to bring forward. But we can see on his steering wheel, the yellow bar, his ERS that he has started to build up. The energy is there. So all it takes is for one moment where he wants to pounce is critical. Poor exit on turns 24 there, and he will criticize himself as he knows he could have done a little bit better as 20. Now he's a bit further behind on 27 before hurting down through the start finish into turn 1. Good exit of turn 1 though.
Yeah, looks like he's getting closer and closer. Is he going to dive for it in turn 1, perhaps? A bit too far back, I'd say. No, he actually does go for it in turn 1. Never mind being too far back. Trying to make the switch back in turn 2, perhaps getting better traction off the line. Does he do it, though? He's going to have to go around the outside of a feisty Marius. And Marius, of course, we've seen him defending before, but he goes too deep. And there he goes. He loses it himself. Nearly goes round. There was absolutely terrifying moment there for Jonas Orpel, and I believe that was the moment that the podium fell out of his grasp. The both of them are now out of DRS range from 2nd and 3rd. That was crucial there for Jonas to get past. He did get past for a moment, but then the traction just was completely lost on him, and nearly round he went. It was a miracle he kept the car pointing in the right direction somewhat, and now they both have suffered a loss of DRS to the rest of the drivers.
I don't think that was traction. I think that was Marius tapping the rear wheel. We couldn't get a true perspective, but you don't lose traction that easy for somebody who's holding the racing line. I don't think that was a driver error. I think that was Marius tapping in, and we won't know until we see if it goes to the steward's room, if we see if he had been tapped from Marius's side. So question marks for sure, but definitely indeed that was whatever it was. It's put them out of contention. Ahead, we did see Alexi. I think he's pulled out just to cool down the engine, cool down the tires. And, well, with no DRS, it does make life a lot easier for Jonas to make the move into turn 1.
Yep, but now 1.6 seconds, and those mediums will no longer have the big advantage they had 3 or 4 laps ago, which means the podium is ever so far away. Let's see what he gains here in Sector 1. 1.7 it is right now, the start of this snaky section. And it is actually remaining at 1.7 as he goes through it. Looks like that advantage is completely gone now. He gains a little bit here, but it's only about a half a tenth, and he loses it immediately when we go onto the straights again. So indeed it is lost. That's a fair point you made there about Marius perhaps tapping the rear of the Haas. We'll have to wait indeed until we see what's happening in the Discord, whether he goes at Marius or perhaps he takes it to the stewards right away. But it might be to be continued down post-race. We'll have to see what happens with that. Either way, Jonas is now ahead of the Alpine. He's closing the gap a little bit still, though. 1.5 seconds now. And without DRS, actually, that's not too bad. But he's only got 2 laps and a little bit to go until this race is over. And I say that's just a little bit too short of a time to get that gap closed again. Alexi and Damien are going to fight it out then for 2nd place. Jonas and Marius are going to fight it for 4th place. And Jonas' strategy to go from the hards to the mediums, well, it looked like it might have been a great strategy, but looks like 4th, that's where he started, will probably be his best result of the night.
I tell you what, it's still a great job to go for an alternate strategy and get back to the same position that you were before. Critically, that's where he hasn't lost anything, hasn't gained anything. That Mercedes went a little bit deep and possibly cutting the corner with a big question mark there. Alexandro went for the dive, got Marcel, but at what cost? Definitely felt like it was a little overshot, but at the end of the day, he is ahead and he will be happy with it.
Look at that though, Jonas Orpel down to 1.2 seconds now through Sector 1. He appeared to be pretty fast, 1.1 seconds. He's gonna miss out on DRS here. And perhaps he can get DRS then still in the last lap, but that's still gonna be a tricky one to overtake. As Alexia, of course, will still have DRS as well, but he's 0.7 of a second back. Jonas Orpel now nearly in DRS range, using whatever he's got remaining of his battery. Look at that. The battery is pretty much drained. He's just gonna miss out on DRS, or perhaps a good exit here will give him what he wants. Can he do it then? No, not yet, but perhaps another good exit in turn 27 will still grant him his wish of a potential podium. Marius Ioanu has been left in the dust by the Haas. Jonas Orpel is using a furious pace after potential contact between him and the Alpine. Either led or losing traction as he tries to close the gap still. 1.2 seconds now, and it looks like he's just gonna miss out once again there. Alexi Cavero is gonna have to go at Damien Carril on the back straight here in the final laps. Alex Santana, 3.5 seconds clear. His victory is almost certain unless something goes terribly wrong for him. But it looks like he's been controlling this race pretty much. And he knew exactly what he was doing. With overtakes in lap 1, turn 1. There was a good one against Oliver Knott that guaranteed him second place. Then a good pit stop there saw him take the lead of the race properly with second clear, even at the start of the stint. And now he's been driving away ever since on the hard tires, being quite dominant indeed. And they're gonna now watch. Look at that there, Hyper. It's Jonas within DRS range. Will it be good enough, though? That's the question.
No, definitely not. I don't think it would be enough. He's not been good at straight line speed. He's been a guy who's been furious around the corners, and we're back on the straights again. There's going to be nothing unless he dive bombs his way through, but we have to look ahead. We have to look at the front. Alex Santana has been absolutely dominant. He has found his timing with that with just before the pit stop to overtake Damien Carrel, and in doing so found the lead of the race. And Alex Santana, he rounds the final corner, coming up to the line. He needs to do this for the championship. He's done it for the championship. He wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and will take the lead of well, he will be close to the lead of the championship by a few points.
Diego Ferrer and Alessandro Finn, look at that. They've crossed the line at the exact same time. You see that? Alessandro Diego, there's no difference between them. Literally nothing. That's fascinating.
What do we mark this at? Is this a joint sixth?
I don't know, perhaps it was within the tens of thousands of a second or something, so that even exists in this game. It looks like they are now classifying Alessandro as P6. He was in the chase against Diego. He had the DRS. Perhaps he just edged him out by 1/10 of a millimeter or something. Let's see here. Confirming though, first and foremost, as the winner, Alex Santana here. He's gonna take 16 points home to close the gap to Scott Holmes in the championship. Damien Carril finds himself in second after taking pole position, so that's an additional point for him. Plus 12 makes 13. Alexi Cavero will be getting 10 points from third position from the top of my head. Jonas Orpel, probably a bit disappointed because what could have been here for his strategy if he hadn't had that incident after overtaking Marius Ioanu, who finds himself in P5. Then Alessandro Finn in P6. And indeed, look at that. It is indeed the exact same time crossing the line. Plus 12.036 on the line for the both of them. I've never, ever seen that happen before. I'm not sure about you, Hyper, but this is a first for me.
It definitely is a first for me as well, to be identical, and we definitely will have to
screenshot
chat with
it.
the...
There we go.
You're going to have to definitely bring it to the tier coordinators, see what they stand for that. But I think purely on the sub numbers, the beyond what we can see might be the factor we have to take this off, or we just have to take the game's word for it. But nonetheless, Alexandro Finn and Diego Ferrer, that is impressive indeed.
Yeah. It's almost more special than the victory that Alex took. I mean, absolutely brilliant. Let's see if they're up for a bit of an interview sooner or later. Let's have a little look at the standings. Alex Santana was the driver in third, 19 points back. He'll be now 3 points behind Scott Holmes for the championship. Alexi Caveri does indeed take 10 points. He'll be 5 points behind now in third in the standings. Jenna Kinji was the man in fourth, not driving. Neither was Thomas Lemon and nor Philippe Sousa or Lucas Shea or Lewis Bloor or Tristan Janssen. So Damien Carril is up next in 10th place. He'll be getting 12 points there, but he'll be a bit too far back to make a proper championship charge from that position. So there's that. 3 drivers properly fighting for the championship still. And Alexi Vero and especially Alex Santana has done what he had to do to make that fight back alive again.
Yeah, this definitely brought things to be just a tad more interesting, as Brazil will be the next race, which, again, another all-round track. I say another because we had Australia, we've had Spain, we've had the UK, those 3 considered all-round tracks. We're going to our 4th of Brazil, and some drivers like it, some drivers hate it. It's a little harder to overtake as well around there, so it should be interesting. But I do hope Scott Holmes comes back for Brazil to keep this championship also interesting. And I'm a little, politely, I'm a little too lazy to try and do the maths, but I can definitely tell you it's gonna be close. We're looking probably 3 to 5 points of a gap between first and third right now.
Yep, and in the waiting room at the moment, Alexi Cavero, the man finishing third in the race. So let's drag him by the shoulders into the commentary box. There he is, Alexi Cavero, P3. It's a good job from you right there, starting a bit further down. For the championship, a good result as well, gaining 10 points in Scott Holmes. You'll be third in the championship as far as we know, without any potential penalties. So how was this race for you?
Well, not bad, I'd say, going from that far back to a podium. I wasn't really expecting it, but I know I made the right moves already on the start. I think I was 5th already after lap 1. And yeah, then we just did a good strategy, and yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very happy. I wasn't expecting this with the low practice I did for this, but here we are.
Yeah, definitely a drive for yourself, and you're looking at the championship as well. You're bringing yourself possibly. Well, I'm not doing the maths in my head, but you're definitely still in that fight for the championship, and 2 races to go. Was your mind focusing on the championship, or was it just I want a good race in general?
I think it was more of like damage limitation. Considering the low preparation I had to do for this race, I've actually had a life, you know. I have the employment tax that the others don't. So yeah, low amount of practice. So it was just damage limitation. Just wasn't really thinking about the championship. Of course, I was trying to see where Alex is. Like during qualifying, for example, I was seeing that Alex is at the front. So yeah, after that, I just fully reset my mind for the race and just, you know, tried to only focus on the mission of trying to go forwards and have the best race I can possibly have, and that ended up working. Is
your mind on the championship now, though?
No. We're still gonna go for it. We're still gonna go for it.
All right.
Well, go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. There's 2 races to go, Alexia. How do you see yourself in chances for the title with these 2 races remaining?
I think my chances are pretty good. I think we're really close now with Scott missing this race and Alex winning and me being on the podium as well. I think it's really, really close with the points. So I think anything can happen. It's like whoever I think is the most comfortable on each track. It can be very track dependent on who's fast and who's not. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting for you guys as well in the commentary booth and the people watching. So yeah, I think everyone's on equal chances pretty much. As long as everyone practices and, you know, puts the effort in. I think we're all on equal chances.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us, Alexi, and we wish you luck in Brazil.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cheers. Up next, man in 2nd place, Damien Carril. Started on pole position, tried to fight Alex to the line, but somewhat lost a little bit of pace in the 2nd stint. We'll get to that in a moment, Damien, but first and foremost, this race from pole position, 1st stint. How did that one go for you?
Yeah, it was a good race. I think, first of all, like, congrats to Alex for winning. I mean, he drove an amazing race, amazing pace as well. But yeah, I mean, pole position, first pole, was a good lap. I mean, I lost a lot of in sector 1, but the lap was luckily it was enough. I did a good last and middle sector, so yeah. And then the whole race, I just felt like I drove like perfect. I just got really unlucky with the pit stop because I had to wait for a Ferrari in the pit stop. So I lost time, and I mean, I spoke with Alex as well. Like we had exact the same pace. So then with the Verge, I was also unlucky. I just had to slow down that much that I lost so much time, and I tried to catch up. And then what I said, Alex drove amazing pace, and me as well. So we did like every lap we were at the same gap, so 1.3, 1.2, 1.4 or something. And then at some point I was like, yeah, I'm not catching because we're just driving the same lap time, same, everything was the same. So then I tried to like slow down a bit, like save my tires a bit, so Alexei could catch. And then at that point I just hoped that I could come back with a DRS, like DRS training and stuff. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. But congrats to Alex, a good race from him.
Definitely was your race to take for a lot of it, but just came up short. The overtake just before the pit stops, was that something you had seen coming? Did you prepare for the overtake to come against you by Alex, or was that just out of the blue? You were quite surprised that he was attempting this early.
It was more like he was the whole time at my back. I was like 9 tenths, 8 at levels the whole time, a big gap, and it's closed. At some point, like I was saving tires a bit, just chilling, and at some point I stopped using ERS, and he was coming closer and closer and closer. But I was like, I mean, he was pushing so hard to take me, and at some point I was like, it doesn't worry, I knew my pace was good. So I was like, you can go ahead, and I want to see what he does with the pit stop, because if I didn't have the unlock in the pit stop and the VC, I should be like in DRS, and it was like good fight for P1. But what I said is also like sometimes you have a lot of luck, and sometimes you doesn't if you don't have luck. And this time it was unfortunate.
All right, well, that's good to know. Some great insights from you in this race, and well, congrats on second place, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Last but certainly not least, here Hyper is going to be our race winner, Alex Santana. Alex, welcome to the commentary box. I hope you can hear us. You've done everything you had to do in this race to close the gap to the championship leader. Now it only is 3 points between yourself and Scott. But this race, was it perfect, or were there some things you would like to see even better than that?
I don't think it gets much better than this, not gonna lie. I think the only thing that could get better was the quali, because my lap was not great. But I mean, it was still a P3, so I cannot really complain.
Yeah, and then the race started. It was quite a decisive move there in turn 1. Was that always on the board when you saw Oliver not getting held up by Damien?
Yeah, when I saw Damien go to the left to cover the inside, I knew if I went like a bit wide, like fully wide to the racing line, I would get so much better angle for the corner, and it worked out like just as I wanted it to work.
The rest of the race, what was your approach for that to try and take the win?
Yeah, for the first few laps, I was saving tires. That's why the gap was like 0.8 or 0.9. I almost lost the DRS a few times, but thankfully it didn't happen. And then when I started pushing, I got past him and turn 1, I think. And then from then on, I was like, I didn't want him to undercut me, because as we all know, this game you cannot really overtake. So I didn't want to risk it. And he boxed the same lap as me, and I got a bit lucky because he got like slowed down or something. I'm not sure. And then when I saw the gap was more than DRS's range, I started pushing, and the whole race we were a few tenths of the DRS. So yeah, it was a crazy race pace race. So
Of course, with this win for yourself, it brings you 3 points behind Scott Holmes. Was going into the race, first of all, something of a championship fight that you're going into, or has now winning this race sparked you to start thinking that way?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it. I think it was after Austria where I had like 2 in a row or something like that. But yeah, then last few races weren't great, so I kind of like forgot about it. But now I'm really close again because Scott wasn't here, so I might have to think about it because there's not like, I think there's 2 rounds left or something like that. So there's something there I can win it still. So I might go for it.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely go for it. Brazil is your next track, and Alex, anything else from you?
No, not really. Just thanks for the race, and GG's to Damian because he had crazy pace as well.
Excellent. Well, let's see how your title charge is going to be in the last 2 remaining races. We're definitely very excited to watch and see it happen. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, and that, my good dear viewers, does conclude the stream for tonight. Unexpectedly, I have to say, great race here in Jeddah, wasn't it?
I probably wouldn't categorize it as great in my books. It definitely was more entertaining than usual, is the way I would describe it, with a few pocket of interesting moments. But yeah, a lot better than what we usually see for Saudi Arabia. A lot more strategy that came into play. We saw that alternative strategy semi-payoff. It was more, I would describe it as on par than the usual strategy, so it does open up the eyes of a lot of other drivers to go, hey, maybe actually starting on the hards might be another way to do it. So there's a lot of things to take away from this race. I'm content. I'm content with it all.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there's still 2 great races coming up. Of course, Brazil is always a good one to watch. And then there is Abu Dhabi to finish off the season in a particular good and fancy style. Let's see who's going to take the crown. Scott Holmes, Alexi Cavero, or Alex Santana. They are now close behind one another in the championship. Does Scott Holmes return to form when he returns to racing next week? If he does return to racing next week, of course, that remains to be seen. Also remaining to be seen is some steward investigations between some drivers, particularly between Jonas Orpel and Marius Ioanu, to see whether they had contact or not, and some other incidents, of course, to keep an eye on. So things might still change a bit further down the other. From the both of us, thank you so much for joining here once again for the 9th round, the first in 2026 for us in PSGL. Have a good one. We'll see you next week, same place, same time. Until then, goodbye.